Hello, peeps. Brady, Garriet here. Charlie is we thought he was joining us, but I think maybe he got off work and passed out. Is that our guess?
Yeah, something like that.
Probably. So, anyway, let's talk some wrestling this week. To start off, we were talking before for a while. Garrett and I have actually been in the call for like an hour.
Yeah.
But, like SmackDown Head and Shoulders beat out Raw this week. Like not even close. Raw just felt like a whole lot of filler this week, whereas SmackDown, there was some filler, but at least some storylines were advanced. The big thing on Raw was Stephanie McMahon's announcement, but we'll talk about all that. All right. So Garrett, let's start with the bad stuff this week, man. Let's start with the
Charade getting on the top floor in the high rent district. Here he goes, crossing himself. Oh.
What segment was crossing itself this week, man? Just praying that it was going to do well, but it was just doomed from the start.
I mean, I don't know that I wanted this to do well. I kind of was out of the segment as it started.
Okay, well, yeah. What's something that just was not?
Yeah, so this week, Braun Strowman was on the show, which he should be every week. The man's Mr. Money in the Bank, Mr. Monster in the Bank. It says it on his shirt, so he's got to be. So you know, I really love Braun, but trying to get people like, okay, first of all, the idea that Jinder Mahal is somehow a punishment for Braun Strowman in any way is like boggles the mind in many ways. Like, even though Jinder was champion for like 100 some days, I want to say, like,
yeah, man, only one of them was a world champion.
It's true for now, but you know, like, I don't know, man. It's just something like that just felt like it was changed last minute, or they just didn't know what they were doing going in. But like, I hope they come back with something better next week for Owens to have as his revenge. But I mean, I kind of do like this sort of, I don't care, Kevin Owens, I'm coming after you, you know. But like, I wish he would have just been like the heel that kind of has the fighting spirit also, which is always what it kind of was in NXT, you know. But
a couple of people in chat, Melissa says hi, and Dale says hi, guys. WWE claiming to be the first everything is getting on my nerves. Yeah, so I want to touch on that a little bit before I get to my crossing itself segment of the week. Yeah, the fact that it's what got on a lot of people's nerves was that WWE was claiming that this Evolution pay-per-view, the all-women's pay-per-view that's going to be coming up in October, I believe, that this was the first all-women's pay-per-view ever. So it's there have been promotions. We literally have promotions out there that are all women. So obviously all of their everything is all women. So that's one thing that's a little weird with this. Melissa thought is all women's Power of Veto. Not all women's Power of Veto. We're talking some wrestling tonight, but I will be back for a live feeds update probably next Tuesday. Yeah, it depends, Tuesday or Wednesday. So yeah. So the segment that I thought just fell flat this week, and I personally don't think it's at the fault of the performers, even though it kind of is because they've had time to work on it. AOP, Authors of Pain, they are not good on the mic whatsoever. Now, keep in mind that they didn't have to talk in NXT like at all. Maybe a couple words here and there. But this whole rivalry with Titus Worldwide is stupid. And I think that's an objective statement. I don't think anybody is really into this feud. Because Titus and Apollo Crews are not legitimate contenders. They're not credible whatsoever, and everybody knows that. And yet they're like going toe to toe with AOP, and Apollo Crews was saying stuff about how like AOP should be more positive and blah 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 blah, and how like Titus O'Neil changed his life, and I don't know. None of it is working for me. And Dale says they need Paul Ellering. I agree, and I think if they could have Paul Ellering, they would. The issue is that he doesn't want to be on the road. One person that is available though is a guy called Stokely Hathaway. His contract's coming up soon with I think he's currently with Impact. I know he's done work with a lot of different promotions, but Stokely Hathaway is fantastic. Let me make sure I got that right. Stokely Hathaway wiki. Okay, I'll come back to it. Anyway, oh, Ring of Honor. There we go. Sorry.
There you go.
I said Impact, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that's wrong. Let me just. So anyway, if you go watch Stokely Hathaway promos, he's fantastic. Dale says, hell, even Rachel Ellering. What's weird is that Vince McMahon seems to have this thing. He doesn't like having managers. It's like you even see with Andrade Almas. What do they call Zelina Vega? Like his business partner or something like that?
Yeah, like she always refers to him as a client. And it's like Aiden English isn't Rusev's manager. Like they don't use the word manager. It's weird. Melissa said, why not give them Paul Heyman? I think it would be good. Then you have to convince Brock to go out on his own, probably, because I don't think that's something that Heyman could do both. I mean, he did Punk and Brock at the same time.
I don't think they do a Brock and AOP faction, but if they did, it would be kind of interesting.
Ooh, that would actually be, yeah. Talk about a dominant force.
But yeah, I don't know. It was not good for me. So let's talk about something you liked, Garrett. What'd you like the most this week?
So we had a return this week on SmackDown. It was a team we've been waiting to see back for a while. We got to see the Bar on SmackDown this week, which I'm really excited to see. They're getting shot right straight at the title scene. They might not get the next shot, but they're probably not going to be right back in it, but they'll probably have the next shot against whoever ultimately comes out on top in this next feud. So I think that's good for wrestling in general. I think it's good for Cesaro to be back in the ring as much as he can be. The man has had some serious injury problems over the last, I want to say, for like 4 years, probably not as long, but whatever, however long he's been. And it's really kind of stunted his momentum, but thankful he found everything he needed in Sheamus and him being a tag team before then, so he can actually come back, get a huge pop. They may even try and play them as baby faces now. I wouldn't be surprised.
So Dale says, I heard on Twitter WWE didn't want to pay the price for Paul Heyman. Just quickly, and I will touch on yours. And I agree, Garrett. I think having the Bar back is great. I just think the injury bug has hit Sheamus and Cesaro like so much. I think both of them have dealt with injury problems over the past couple of years. It's kind of like the Wyatt family. Like someone would always get hurt when it was when it was Bray and Harper and Rowan. So and Braun. So I heard on Twitter that WWE didn't want to pay for Paul Heyman. I don't think that's true because Paul Heyman has actually taken on a bigger role in the company. He's actually writing TV for part of Raw now. So I don't think that he's completely taken over Raw or anything like that. But he does have some creative input now, which is good because Paul Heyman, to a lot of people, is kind of seen as like a voice for the people. So it's good, Paul needs to manage Ronda. Now, there's something I would like.
Yeah, but again, I don't want her to be like paired up with Brock because they're the MMA fighters. I want her to be Ronda Rousey. I'm the advocate for Ronda Rousey. I'm not the advocate for both. I'm the advocate for Ronda Rousey. You know what I mean? That's what.
Paul Ellering. No, I just don't think Paul Ellering wants to. I just don't think Paul Ellering wants to travel. I think that was most of the reports. Plus, Rachel Ellering is in NXT, and she wants to spend time with her dad and stuff like that. And he probably wants to help her during her training. So
I think he's probably helping backstage with the superstars promos and stuff. I assume so.
Oh yeah. Melissa said, "Isn't Brock leaving?"
Maybe.
He's fought with the UFC on a WWE contract before. Vince has given him permission, so I don't think he might necessarily be leaving. But yeah, once he gets into the camp to train for his next fight against Daniel Cormier, he's going to have to take some time off. Because
so is he back in the USADA pool then?
Yeah, he is.
Okay, I didn't know if they let him back in. I haven't been up on that. I just know that he was definitely talking about it and that it was definitely Cormier that they were talking about. But
yep, he's back in and he's fighting Cormier. I don't think they've said which pay-per-view necessarily yet.
It might be at a 50 or 100. I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It makes more sense because they brought him back for, what was it, 200? Yeah, so.
Yep. All right. So, what I liked the most this week was another promo, actually. I thought Randy Orton did a fantastic job on his promo. Came back. Basically, we got Randy Orton's explanation as to why he's been going after Jeff Hardy. Basically, his explanation was Jeff Hardy embodies everything that the people love. He comes out and he's got the face paint and he does big flips and kills himself for the fans and all this stuff. And basically he came out, looked at all the people, and he cut an all you people promo, which generally I hate. But this one was good. Randy did good. I'm glad he's a heel because he needs to be a heel. And he basically said, I'm going to single-handedly destroy all of the people that you love until you give me the respect I deserve. That's great. I like it.
Absolutely. Randy's got that thing that some wrestlers have that have made him super successful over the last, 10 years, something like that. Longer, you know. He's got, I think, 13 championships to his name. Not a whole lot of people could say they're even in contention for that Ric Flair record. He's one of them. Yeah, just give me more Randy Orton RKOing the crap out of people.
Exactly. Melissa said, was I the only one who was hoping Stephanie's announcement was first ever women's tag titles?
Yes, I said that. And I've been saying that for weeks and months and probably over a year now on this podcast. I still think it would really benefit the women. And if you have to make WWE the women's show, whatever, to do it. I'll watch it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's coming as well, Dale. I think
that's got to be a match on Evolve, right? Please.
That'd be cool.
A tag tournament leading up, and you have like Bayley and Sasha be your winners. Like, dude.
Rumor is women in cruiserweight tag titles. Yeah, they've talked about 205 Live tag titles.
That should now, even if they don't do the women thing, they definitely should do that.
I personally still think a trios title would be cool. Why don't they do like a mixed trios title?
How about a 6-man title? I mean, that's another title we could have, and the New Day would hold that for forever. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. The trios title with like 3 people.
Think about this. Think about a triple threat trios match for the 6-man title. You got, okay, so it would be a 9-man match at that point, but whatever. You could probably convince people that even though it's not really a 6-man match, it's for that title, and you'd have to defend it against at least 6 people, whatever. But so you got Sanity in one corner. Screw it. Let's do 4. You got Sanity in one corner, Undisputed Era in the other. New Day in one, and then
Club with Balor.
Club with Balor, or there was another one in my head I can't think of right now. But yeah, give me all the factions in a major match for that title, and I will watch it forever. You know what I mean?
I agree. Iconics could benefit from the women's tag title and should be the first champions. I agree. If they were to make those titles, then I think Iconics would run with it for a long time.
That's true. Yeah, they're really hot right now.
They could always just do the thing with Lay Cool back in the day where they were both champion.
Right, and that's cool, and they'll probably do that, and I wouldn't be surprised if Peyton was the champion but Billy was defending it sometimes. But you know what that would mean, right? That means that they're going to end up splitting them up eventually because Peyton's not going to be the reason why I lose the title, and then Peyton will get her shot because she was the one that actually won it, and Billy, she'll be like, I'm sorry, you never had this. You know what I mean? Right. Be great.
Okay. So let's talk some wrestling news really quick. The big news that I got really excited about was the fact that Matt Riddle was pulled out of BOLA, Battle of Los Angeles. So that happens every year. It's part of PWG, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. Now, if you don't know, PWG doesn't necessarily sign people to contracts. Like they get independent wrestlers from all over, and they just have big shows. They don't have a TV thing where they go on a weekly show or anything like that. It's just they have these big shows. And so their biggest show of the year is Battle of Los Angeles. And like let's look at that. Let's look at 2015 BOLA lineup.
All right, I'm gonna guess Marty Scurll's in it.
All right. Here are the people from 2015. All right. We had Brian Cage, Jack Evans, Chris Hero, who is now Cassius Ohno. Yep. Biff Busick, who is now Oney Lorcan. Trevor Lee, Marty Scurll, Rich Swann, Pentagon Jr., Zack Sabre Jr., Ricochet, Phoenix, Matt Sydal, who just WWE fans, you'll know him as Flippy Evan Bourne.
Flippy dude.
Will Ospreay, Mark Andrews, Drew Galloway, who's Drew McIntyre, Drew Gulak, and Tommy End, who is Aleister Black. So that was just 3 years ago that happened. Two bowls ago, or yeah,
how many of those guys are in WWE right now, man? Oh,
you know, that's crazy. And the year after that, I mean, really, they added even more people. They added Cedric Alexander, Matt Riddle, Jeff Cobb, John Hennigan, who is John. God, what was he in WWE? John Morrison.
Oh,
like so many great people. Tommaso Ciampa, Dalton Castle, Pete Dunne. My God, like it is stacked in Bola.
You can go through the last couple of Bolas and you can see the WWE title scene of now. I mean, pretty much. Like,
was Matt Riddle and MLW with Tom Lawler? Yes. So let's go back to Matt Riddle. The reason we're talking about Bola, Matt Riddle pulled out of Bola, and there are only 2 promotions that we know of that would ask people to not perform in Bola. Those 2 being WWE and Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor does not have a history of signing people right before Bola and making them pull out of Bola. It's a big show for these guys. And if anything, Ring of Honor would say, because Matt Riddle, let's be honest, he was probably the favorite to win that whole tournament. And so Matt Riddle, if you are Ring of Honor and Matt Riddle wins that tournament and then signs with you, that's good for your company. Whereas with WWE, they don't want Matt Riddle to get a huge name because then A, he's going to be more expensive, and B, they're going to stick him in NXT regardless. So they don't want him to be too big of a name because they want him to be able to build his own name in WWE. So this almost confirms that Matt Riddle is signed to WWE. It hasn't been confirmed, but man, Matt Riddle, if you guys have not seen Matt Riddle wrestle, he's fantastic. He's a former UFC fighter. He got kicked out of UFC for smoking too much weed, and that's why WWE didn't sign him at first either. But WWE has shown interest. He apparently knocked his audition out of the park when he auditioned for WWE, but they just didn't sign him, and he's been tearing it up on the scene. He basically has UFC fights wrestling style,
which is cool.
I should say wrestling matches UFC style. Whichever way
he likes to throw a lot of really, really hard strikes.
It looks like a real fight in there. So,
I mean, and also the man wrestles without shoes. That's enough for me to be. As soon as I saw that, he was over for me. He was over with me. I was like,
knee pads, just comes out and whips some ass.
And you know that means he's messing people up with those strikes.
Absolutely. All right. So, really, so Garrett and I were really trying hard before the show. We were on air for a while, just throwing out ideas of what we could come up with for outside of wrestling news to talk about this week, some Falls Count Anywhere. And we said, oh, well, we should talk about like some actual news going on. The issue is, and maybe this is our discussion on their own, like just politics in general, like there's not really any good news going on. And I know politics is generally negative in and of itself, but Garrett, what's up with like all the negativity in the world, man?
I don't know. It seems to be a sort of steady decline on this, I guess, on the planet. So much has happened in like the last 2 years that I think it's one, there's been so much and it's been nonstop that we haven't really had time so far to look back and say, okay, here's where we are. Because growing up, every election cycle, basically, you could kind of look back and be like, okay, that was the last 4 to 8 years, you know, and here we are. This is where we're at as a society. I don't think you can do that now. I think if the moment you try and do that, you've been left behind. And so you have to constantly be, you know, here's an interesting fact that I don't know if a lot of people know. Back when John F. Kennedy got elected, the average soundbite was like 30 seconds or something like that. It was long. Like you would hear them talking for a long period of time. Oh, now the average is like 10 seconds.
I think that people just can't keep their attention for that long. And that's the issue is that, I mean, I'm guilty of it too. Garrett, how many news articles do you scroll past, read the headline, and it gets you kind of fired up, and maybe you read the article, maybe you don't. But a lot of people don't dig deeper, right? We look at the headlines. We're like, you know, it's the headline can be like a woman leaves child in hot car. That gets me fired up. I hate that. I'm like, how can you forget your kid? Possibly. Woman leaves child in hot car. Then you click on the link and you see that she accidentally locked herself out of the car and she was scrambling for 30 minutes trying to get her child out of the car, trying to call for help or something. Then you realize, oh my God, it's a totally different story than what the headline said. And that's news.
Yeah. And just from the perspective, I've been working and training for a potential news job for a while, like over a year now. And, you know, what I'll say is there's nobody telling you to do things like that, but there's a lot of subtext. Like one of the first things that we got taught was what factors you use in judging news and what's newsworthy.
I mean, if you're a writer for a news outlet, right, Garrett, what is your job?
My job is
what is your number one priority?
My priority. Okay, well, that's a different question. So your job versus your number one priority. Your number one priority is to get people to tune into the station so that you can pay off your so that your advertisers get their time and you can pay for the station.
Right. And so if you're in written news, let's say you're a writer for a website, what is your number one priority? As far as your boss, what does your boss tell you?
You get clicks.
And that's the problem. Ads. That's the problem. So anyway. All right. Melissa wants to know about my job and tell us what happened today. I don't want to zoom in too much, got like my full name and stuff, but I got this fancy schmancy award I accepted from my choir because we were one of the top choirs in the state. So I get to go put that at my school right in the award shelf. And Dale says, so do you see Alistair getting the call up? Absolutely. Alistair Black is the person to really go up there and just run stuff at the main roster. You know, it's just like how Drew McIntyre was not down there for long in NXT. He didn't need it. Alistair doesn't need any more help. And personally, I think they should run back Alistair Black and Velveteen Dream. And I think Dream should be the face of NXT, but who knows? Maybe he's too young. I heard a while back Alistair will go to 205 Live. Now, like
that would be a mistake.
Now, a month ago, I would have said that's a terrible idea, and it probably is still a terrible idea. However, 205 Live has been getting much more popular, and you got to think the people that watch NXT already have the network, and so those are already the diehard fans, right? So if people are really into NXT and Alistair Black, they're probably going to watch Raw and SmackDown regardless. But Alistair Black could bring eyes to 205 Live because people already have the network. They're like, well, I got to check it out now. I already have the network, so I might as well watch.
I completely agree.
Dale, if he went to 205 Live, he would not get lost. He'd win the title and run with it for probably a year.
Yeah, no, that's not what I was. What I was getting at was you have this like guy that could go down as like a really, really good wrestler just in general. You know, not saying he's going to grab a brass ring or anything. I don't think anyone is these days. I don't think anyone cares anymore. I think if you do that, you immediately remove any chance for him to be seen by a TV crowd, pretty much. Unfortunately, because 205 Live is taped, right?
Yes, 205 Live is taped after SmackDown.
So you're only getting. I mean, think about it. If there's one of those crushing SmackDown main events, the first match on 205 Live was going to be rough for a crowd, you know? So imagine if Alistair Black made his debut right after someone just went out there and crushed it. That would be the worst case scenario ever. And even that, let's say he goes on a tear as champion. They don't defend the title on pay-per-views anymore. Except for the big four, I think. So
I got to say, though, at SmackDown, I think they do a very quick changeover to 205 Live when they go to record, right? If I'm at SmackDown, if I'm watching SmackDown Live and the show ends and I'm like, all right, time to go home, and I hear Aleister Black's music hit, I might sit back down.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not saying again, like it's just like I don't want to see him not see his full potential because I think he could be WWE champion. Right now, I got a universe mode going where he's been WWE champion for like 260 days or something and his first title win. I mean, like, and it's because one, he's put on a good match every pay-per-view for me so far, and two, it's fun enough to play in that game as him. So you know that's the two factors you need for a good universe mode. You got to find characters you like to play with and feuds you can book. And he had a feud against John Cena at a WrestleMania because Cena won the Rumble, and it was a 5-star match, and he beat Cena.
Yep.
It's a game, but it's based on real, so you know.
Dale says 205 needs a better crowd. People watching now are burnt out after SmackDown. I agree. I have no idea why 205 Live isn't being recorded before SmackDown. There's no reason it shouldn't be. You could have SmackDown. You could have SmackDown still go live at the same time. Just have 205 come on at 7.
I know why, Brady, because the stadium wouldn't be filled.
Yeah, that's true.
They don't want to have that awkward shot of Neville versus Austin Aries from WrestleMania a couple of years ago. It really stuck in people's craw, I think, in the back room. They were like, why is this the biggest event of the year? Got empty seats in the first match, you know?
Yeah. I mean, they found out that was on the venue, but still.
It's still a bad look.
Brave says, I just joined the live chat. What are you talking about in WWE? We're just talking right now about Aleister Black, if and when he gets called up. And keep in mind that Aleister Black is only 33 years old. So people like AJ Styles, who he's still got a good couple of years in him, I'm sure, and Shinsuke Nakamura, like AJ Styles is 40 and Shinsuke Nakamura is 38. Like, they still seem kind of young. Most wrestlers, if you wrestle the right way, you can wrestle into your 50s, really, if you want. Yep. Especially since Aleister Black isn't really, he has a lot of flips and stuff in his arsenal, but his offense isn't based around it. So I think they could take their time bringing him up, but we'll see. I mean, there are a lot of people in NXT right now that you could make the case to throw the title on. You got Aleister Black, EC3, Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, who is the current champion, Velveteen Dream, some would say Lars Sullivan. Just, there are a lot of people. And even the female roster is starting to look better with Bianca Belair and Candice LeRae, Kairi Sane, Lacey Evans, Nikki Cross, Shayna Baszler. Even though Nikki Cross was on Raw during Stephanie's announcement, which was...
Why, by the way, does NXT have like the best tag team division on the planet also?
Yeah. Heavy Machinery, Moss and Sabatelli, even though they broke up and then got back together and then broke up and then someone got hurt. Sabatelli got hurt. And then they got Street Profits, Undisputed Era, TM61, and War Raiders.
Dude, I still say Street Profits is going to be massive on the main roster.
You already know what I think about that, man. You know what Vince McMahon thinks. Crime Time 2.0.
No, but I still think they're going to be great.
Listen, unless you're Ric Flair, then you can wrestle till you're like 85. Absolutely.
But you shouldn't, especially if you're Ric Flair.
Who's current women's champion? Shayna Baszler.
Which is crazy to even say.
Dude, Baszler's good. And she gets a lot of flack, but I think she's different. You know what I mean?
No, I didn't think like a year ago even you would even one, I didn't think she'd be here. Two, I didn't think she'd be champion. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then, dude, you got people sitting at, like, a lot of people don't know the UK guys as well. But remember, the WWE has an NXT UK whole like program going on right now. And they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. They've got like 25 guys all on UK and 1, 2, 3, 6 girls, stuff like that. I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, they've got the likes of Pete Dunne, who's your champion. You've got Tyler Bate, Trent Seven, Mark Andrews, Joe Coffey, who I like, Amir Jordan. Did I say Wolfgang? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Whatever. But I don't know. They've got a lot of really, really talented guys there too. So
you always had the fallback of just making Mustache Mountain a tag team on the main roster too,
and they'd be good.
And you could take either of the mustache-headed men on any of the programs and you can bring them in too. Maybe that's Aiden's next move.
There you go. Yeah, Tony Storm, another mention. That's on the NXT UK tour. I honestly, Tony Storm's really the only one that I know too well.
I knew like most of those guys. I remember when the original UK tournament happened, and I was watching a lot of WCPW at the time, and a lot of those guys were wrestling there and in other various indie promotions at the time.
Oh yeah, I'm saying the girls. I only know Tony Storm. After that, Nina Samuels, Killer Kelly, Ginny, Isla Dawn, and Charlie Morgan.
I haven't heard any of those. But the weird thing about I've found out through WCPW that the British women's wrestling scene is actually pretty hot. You just don't really hear about it.
Dale says put Nikki Cross back with Sanity. Yeah, she kind of got unofficially called up on Raw this week because she was standing like front and center on Raw when Stephanie McMahon was making her announcement. Nikki Cross was up there.
Yeah. No, I think there was other NXT women there as well.
Just Nikki.
It was just Nikki? Maybe I just overlooked. Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Weird. So I don't know. I think she's officially called up. They just haven't really introduced her yet. It's very weird. I don't know.
I mean, if they're smart, what they'll do is they'll have her debut on a random pay-per-view where she like suplexes a dude or something. You know what I mean? Like to give the Sanity the win in a title match or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like that should be the way they debut her. They shouldn't have her be separate on Raw for whatever reason, even if it was just for that one little thing, like.
All right. In all honesty, I'm not even going to do the 80 seconds this week. They're really like, I'll quickly run over some stuff. B Team retained. Sasha Banks and Bailey are still, I don't know what's going on with them. They're weird. Mickey James beat Natty. Mojo Rawley did a thing. The match between Balor and McIntyre and which turned into a tag match with Balor and Seth Rollins versus Ziggler and McIntyre was great. I could take a tag match with those guys over and over and over again. I'd be fine with that. And then Roman Reigns beat Bobby Lashley to become the #1 contender. They already announced that it's going to be a one-on-one match, even though Lashley just beat him at the pay-per-view. So in kayfabe, it's stupid. But I wish they would turn it into a triple threat, honestly. I mean, it's the predictable thing to do. But if they let that go on last with Reigns and Lesnar, they're literally going to boo it out of the building.
They're going to boo it out of the building anyway. But if it's just them and Brock were somehow to win again,
that would be stupid, honestly.
But then that's when Braun comes in with the briefcase and everything is fine to them, but not to the wrestling fans.
Oh my God. I mean, the "We Want Braun" chants are going to be so loud.
And they'll think that that's because they want Braun to be like the Money in the Bank, but they just want somebody else to have the title.
Yep. Rusev and Almas had a really good match on SmackDown. R-Truth actually looked pretty good, considering he's really damn old.
Yeah.
Asuka and Billie Kay was whatever. Asuka won, obviously. James Ellsworth got fired. Paige was looking hot as always. And then Samoa Joe choked out AJ Styles and is now officially the #1 contender. So run back Joe and Styles many times as you want. I'm happy with that.
Make it happen.
Oh, and apparently Miz and Mrs. is really funny. And I should probably
I watched it. It was a reality show. I mean,
The Miz has
the Miz is a really funny guy outside of wrestling, which I would not have expected, but I guess makes kind of sense. He's just kind of a goofball, though, like
Braun is going to cash in, or Kevin. Yeah, I kind of hope I usually like when the briefcase gets held onto for a while, but there's no point in Braun holding onto it. It's not in his character. But keep in mind, Braun versus Kevin Owens is on the pay-per-view, and the winner of that gets the Money in the Bank briefcase. So it adds stakes. I like it.
Yeah.
I'll probably cash it in because he's been wanting the Universal Championship for a while now. Yeah, I agree. Paige got big lips. She does. Got the DSLs, Garrett. Don't forget Mella's money. I like Carmella. I think she's good, but I think firing James Ellsworth is the way for the WWE to finally allow Asuka to win the championship, which is honestly the right call. Carmella's good. I like Carmella, but
she's had a decent reign.
Yeah, I just think I just think Asuka should be champ. I think Carmella can chase if she wants, or maybe a good secondary feud is where she'll be better suited.
Maybe.
All right. Garrett, I'm tired. I got to be up at 6 a.m. and it's 11:20 because I got a conference all day tomorrow. And so, yeah, make sure you guys like and subscribe. Click the bell so you know when we go live. Ding. I agree, Melissa. It's been Mella's reign has been pretty great. I like it. Carmella's been good. I just think it might be time for someone else. It's like with Brock. I don't mind Brock's reign. He's special. But someone else needs the damn title. Till next time, guys. See you.